Hi.
Testing, testing, testing. Okay, well, that was interesting. Hello, everyone. I had everything set up, and for some reason, my audio software decided not to recognize my microphone out of nowhere. So there you go. Live television, everyone. Let me try that again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of TED Excellence, the show in which once in a while, even I have a technical issue. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. And for those of you listening in the future, you might not notice any problems because I'll probably go back and edit out the blank minute or two of no sound that was happening there just for the sake of, professionalism. Anyway, apologies for that. False start. What are you going to do? Live television happens to everybody. Hey, y'all. How you doing this evening? Well, I had a whole, introduction going there for a second, and then I got thrown off track. So I'll just go to say hello to you guys first, and then I'll get back into my spiel as I was going through in a minute ago. But anyway, first and foremost, before I miss it, thank you, Derek LaRue, as always, for your continued generosity and support. Really appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Thursday. And in addition to Derek, who else is here? Noah Asensio, hello. Adabisi, hello. Grand Inquisitor Tier Alexander, hello. Shell D, hello. Kiro Soldier, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Brittany Holland, hello. Chris, hello. Misinformation, hello. Who else is here? As chat jumps, Ostzan, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. And Jack Frost, hello. Robert Gruber, hello. Bridget, hello. Robert Pincus, hello. Dixie Rose, 63, hello. Jessifers, 26, hello. Jamie Melquist, hello. C. Thomas, hello. Simon Willikins, hello. Vader, 35, hello. Mike R. Did I already say hello? If I didn't say hello, hello. And I think that's everybody. If I missed you, if you're in the future, if you're lurking, hello. All right. Well, before I was so rudely interrupted by myself, I suppose, what is tonight's topic? Well, this particular presentation jumped out at me for two elements associated with it. The first one was TEDx decided to put a note and or a disclaimer in the description of the video, which is always a good sign. And it said something to the effect of, do not take this presentation as mental health advice. Which always tells me, ooh, we might have something here. But the second element was the title itself and the question that it asks, because my smarty pants mind had an immediate answer, which told me that the presentation must be much more complicated. And as you can see on the screen, or if you're listening at home, the question posed by the title is, can I bring my faith to work? And my smarty pants immediate answer when I saw that was, who's going to stop you? And by that, I mean, well, let me give you a hypothetical example. So let's say, just for the sake of argument, that in my heart of hearts, in my personal belief system, in my personal religious outlook on the world, my worldview, that cats are messengers from the spirit world. All right, let's say I believe that to be so, that it is absolutely true. That's how the world works, and that's how I see things. All right, and I get up in the morning, and I go to the office, and I sit down at my desk, I start doing my work, and in the back of my head, it's not relevant right now, but in general terms, cats are messengers from the spirit world. I have brought my faith to work, have I not? Right? Okay, of course, that's the smarty pants answer. So I'm assuming, and as always, I haven't watched this ahead of time, so I don't know what our speaker is going to say. I'm assuming our speaker doesn't mean the possession of faith at work, more so than the expression of faith at work. And that idea can go down all sorts of different rabbit holes. So I don't want to start going off the ranch here too much without letting our speaker guide us through this idea. So that's the setup. A couple of housekeeping things first and foremost. At the top of the chat box, you will find links to some GoFundMe, some fundraisers. First and foremost, up there is for Maddie, another YouTuber friend of ours. She's just recently been diagnosed with cancer, and she needs some help with some deductibles for the payments on the treatment. She's posted receipts for those deductibles on the GoFundMe to show that this is what she needs and nothing more. So you can take a look at that one. Secondly, an update on the second GoFundMe there for Morbid Curiosity. Morbid Curiosity, aka Johnny, is a true crime content creator on YouTube. He was recently hospitalized with pneumonia, and in the process of going through that, found out he didn't have any health insurance, which was no fun to find out. He came very close to a very dire outcome. And at least as of right now, as of this recording, I can report that he is out of the hospital and back home recuperating. So congratulations to Johnny. Hope he gets well soon. But obviously, medical bills don't stop once you've left the hospital. So you can take a look at that one as well. And thirdly on there is one for Angry Illinoisian, another longtime viewer of the channel. He has been injured because of a work situation and is on workers' compensation, and his family could use some help if you can spare it. So if you can donate to those, please do so. If you can't, that's fine. But if you can share those out on social media, that would be appreciated. Secondly, tonight's bingo card is bingo card A. A as in Faith No More. That was the winning Faith on the poll on Twitter earlier today. If you'd like to take part in the weekly poll to choose the bingo card, you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever, Twitter, X, scribe_light as they're on the screen. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. I think we're ready to go. I think I've killed enough time here. A couple more hellos. Folklord, hello. Who else is here? Bahuit. Hi, I'm Bahuit. Hi, Bahuit. And did I already say hello to Simon Willikins? Well, hello, Simon Willikins. Okay, so hopefully everybody who's gotten the alert that the show is live is here. And if you're not, well, I hope you join in soon. With that, this one clocks in at just over 16 minutes. So let's get into it. Start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, which is important this evening, as we've already seen. And then we will proceed.
So there's this thing.
There's this thing. You guys hear that one all right? Let me know in the chat. Give myself a little sip there to whet my whistle. So did the audio come through on that okay? Because that's almost as important. 5x5 says Kiro Soldier. There are a lot of things, Advocatus Diablo says. Grand Inquisitor says Lima Charlie. And Joshua Montgomery, why in parentheticals? Okay.
That happens.
Wait. So, try again.
So there's this thing that happens.
Yes.
Whenever I go to conferences. I mean.
Okay. How often do you go to conferences?
It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I travel around the world to meet and speak with tens of thousands of leaders. Doesn't matter what country. Doesn't matter the venue.
Okay, so just for those listening at home or on the road or otherwise, we have a very long curved screen behind our speaker with a big, proclamation on there. It says Melissa D. White, the spirit-led leader. And off to the side, it says mind, body, and I'm assuming spirit or something else might be, or soul, I don't know. And underneath it says embracing spiritual wellness. Okay.
It happens religiously. So I had to really take account because I'm not talking about the conference sessions, the stages, the conversations.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is what you don't see.
What I don't see? Okay. And just as a preamble, a little bit of a transparency note. I don't know where this is going. I don't know what she's going to be talking about, but for the sake of things, full disclosure, I'm not religious. My family's effectively agnostic, so I don't really have a dog in the hunt as far as religions are concerned. So whatever she ends up talking about, I'm going to try to avoid any kind of theological analysis or anything, because what little I know about the various major religions of the world is probably just enough to be dangerous. But we'll see where it goes. Oh, come on. You can go now.
I'm talking about the private conversations that occur in the hallways and passing. It happens in break rooms, in the restrooms and corners, on Zoom rooms, privately.
Okay, if it's private, then why does it need to be in the workplace.
It's almost like people treat it as if it's a dirty secret, as if they don't want to do it publicly, like it's shameful or something.
Or it's personal, private, and irrelevant at the workplace. This is reminding, I mean, just the notion is starting to remind me of what we looked at last Sunday with Amazon Web Services. And like, what does your personal, private, intimate life have to do with doing your job at work? I guess that's where I'm going to have to go. Based on the title, that's kind of the argument I'm going to need. Why do I need to make my personal beliefs, I don't know, manifest in the workplace?
It's happening to Americans around the country every morning.
Mm-hmm.
It happens throughout the day in our most stressful moments.
What does?
In our households with our families.
What does?
And I'm building this up to let you know it's something that's very commonplace, but not talked about enough.
Which is?
You may be wondering, what is she talking about?
Yeah, you know what? Mind reading assumes motives. not as a criticism, but as a successful projection. What are you talking about? You're right. Not only are you assuming but you're absolutely correct. What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure over half of you participated in that act just this morning.
What act do you mean?
Maybe even on your way here.
My mind is in the gutter because I'm still a third grader. Uh-huh.
It's one of those things that's still taboo.
Okay.
In a society where we've had to address some pretty hard conversations.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of lead up. I'm really hoping the payoff is worth it.
And just about 50% of Americans pray on their way to work every single day.
Well, given the traffic where I live, it's pretty much required.
So why is it we can't bring our faith to work?
Well, again, here we go. You have to describe what you mean by bring. I assume you're not talking about simply possession. You're talking about expression. And then there's also the legal and workplace, let's say, comfort things to consider. And what's the old adage about Thanksgiving dinner? Don't bring up politics, don't bring up religion, that kind of thing. There's like 2 or 3 different subjects you just don't talk about for the sake of relative harmony. Okay, so why and how?
I ask you this because in a society where we put a great deal of emphasis on mental health and wellness, on emotional intelligence, as we should, on therapy, which is exceptionally important. Why is it we cannot equally account for a place for our faith and spiritual wellness and the space where we make the toughest decisions that we have to make every single day?
Again, no one is preventing you. If your decision-making process goes through a filter of your personal belief system and so on, well, you know, the results of that can be judged on their merits, I suppose, all by themselves. But no one is stopping you from bringing your faith to work. And there are allowances made both under statute and law for people to be able to take time out of the workday to, you know, deal with their faith issues, like if they have a particular time of day they need to pray, or if they need a few minutes for quiet contemplation, or whatever they need to do. Most businesses will probably accommodate that, or are required to, depending on the situation. It's a matter of not promoting one or discriminating against people on the basis of such that businesses have to worry about, at least in America, under Title VII and Title VI, depending on the circumstances. So again, where is it disallowed? Where is someone's mind being force-fielded away from, quote unquote, bringing their faith to work? What do you mean, and why is it relevant?
You know, as I thought about this, I said, wow, we can talk about just about anything in society, nothing's off the table.
Uh-huh.
But for those of us who practice some type of faith daily,
Uh-huh.
a form of spiritual wellness to build up yourself every day,
Uh-huh.
it's a practice of believing something bigger than you, immersing yourself in the human experience of who you are, why you're here, and what you're created to do.
If you believe that, you can also not believe that, but okay. Who is stopping you? Who?
So what bigger form of immersion is there than your spiritual wellness?
The metaverse.
But it's not talked about.
What? Okay, when? When is it not talked about? What? It's your business. You can go to church, temple, mosque, whatever. And in the workplace, who do you want to talk about it with? Do you want to talk about it with people who share your beliefs? Do you want to talk about with just anybody in the office? Is that part of your workday? The First Amendment and many other laws and statutes allow for the freedom of expression and the freedom of religion in this country. Nobody is stopping you, right? Up until the point at which, I mean, if you went to the office and started proselytizing to people and evangelizing and harassing people about your religious beliefs versus their actions, right? If someone was in the break room and they were eating something that fell outside your particular religious doctrine and you started castigating them for it, that might be the line that you're crossing, right? But other than that, what are you talking about? Who is stopping you?
It's done in private, on your breaks, in your car,
Yeah,
in the lunchrooms,
yeah.
in schools, it's not allowed.
In schools, often not, but unless they've set aside some space or time before classes or after classes for prayer circles or meetings and things, whatever specific faiths we are speaking of here, and she seems to be going relatively non-denominational so far, nothing she's saying makes a whole lot of sense to me. But then, you know, I am just a secular agnostic, so who do I know?
But yet, it's important.
Yeah, it is important. It's important to a lot of people every day, and nobody's stopping them from expressing, at least in this country. I don't know where our speaker is speaking. I'm assuming it's in America, because I think she mentioned. But still waiting for the big twist here.
What happens when you don't have access to therapy?
Wait. Okay. Faith. Okay, this is where I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Faith might be therapeutic to people, but faith is not therapy. If we're talking about like therapy, I don't know. I'm starting to get into weird areas here.
As an option in a moment of crisis.
Nobody's. Who is stopping someone from praying in a moment of crisis? Who? Give me an example. Give me an example of a business or an entity or something that is stopping people from expressing themselves in a moment of crisis.
I tell you this because where mental health is commercialized and gets a lot of commercial time.
Yeah, I assume that you draw a paycheck in your conference circuit?
We don't account for the fact that when therapy is not accessible, what do we lean on?
Okay, this is already driving me nuts. Give me an example of what you are talking about. Because so far, I do not believe you when you say these things. Who is being prevented from practicing, expressing, or otherwise their faith at a time of crisis or at a reasonable place and time at work? And that's I guess that's the key point. Reasonable.
That when therapy is not accessible, what do we lean on for our strength, our countenance, our conscience?
Our conscious? Well, okay. Pepper Jack.
Where do we go when we have our own moment of personal crisis that gives us the tools to navigate life and all of its difficulties?
I'll hazard a guess. Is it one's faith?
I mean, here's the thing about spiritual practices.
Oh, okay.
You're either born into it, you discover it in your life's journey, you pick it up along the way. It may be something you're taught, or you could have your own encounter personally on your road through life.
Doesn't that apply to any experience in life, though? Right? Like, I was born into a family of police officers, or later on in my life, after my father's auto business went under, I decided to become a police officer. Or
however it comes across, the reality is this. We live in a country that's founded on faith, but yet we can't talk about it without fear of offense.
What? No one is stopping you. If this entire TEDx talk was nothing but you evangelizing and proselytizing, TEDx would still post it. TEDx would still post it. I've seen plenty of things like that before. No one. Who is stopping you? Who?
Even today, religion and politics are still taboo. And don't worry, I'm not going to preach to you today, but I'm going to go close enough to the edge for us to just have a conversation, if that's all right with you.
Politics are taboo. In polite conversation, yeah, like I said before, what do you not bring up at the dinner table if you want to avoid bad feelings or conflicts or everything else? Politics, religion, and sports, I think, is the third one. Taboo. I talked politics every night for 4 years plus on Lords of the Night. It wasn't taboo to me. I'm happy to talk politics now, whatever. Like I say, I've got no particular dog in the hunt of religion to make an argument or a speech, but okay. Let's go to the bingo card real quick because I'm okay. Let's see. Bingo card A, everybody. Collectivize his own demographic. Not yet. Systemic or institutional? I mean, maybe abstractly, but not specifically yet. Sales pitch for product or service. She mentioned her conference circuit, but she hasn't talked specifically about what she does yet. Well, I mean, you could say that the big banner behind her was a big ad for her. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to circle sales pitch for product or service because that was one big advertisement for her. Whatever her services are. A childhood or family anecdote? Not yet. Diversity, equity, inclusion? Not yet. Plays victim? Directly, not yet. Although she's sort of talking on behalf of everyone who's not allowed or something. Microaggressions or unconscious bias? We might get there. Privilege? No, not yet. Contradicts own point or argument? I'm not quite sure what the argument is yet. She's made several accusations or assertions about reality, but I haven't heard any examples yet, so I'm going to give it some time. Patriarchy, well, no, not literally yet. Weightless example, I don't think she's given an example yet, which is what I'm waiting for. Economic disparity, no. Feminism, no. Marginalization. That is implied by her argument that, you know, people aren't allowed to talk about these things and so on. So I'm going to circle that one. A list, not yet. It has to be a formal list. White supremacy, no. Word salad, kind of. I mean, the whole, it doesn't matter where you came across this the first time. Then why even bring it up? But I'll wait. Self-vilification or wretchedness, no. Argumentative non sequitur, the whole thing might be. We'll find out. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, not yet. Benevolent condescension. If she keeps up with this, we're not allowed to talk about it, without giving some examples of what she means, I might circle it. Excuse me. Anecdote that probably never happened. No anecdotes yet. And lastly, leaves out vital context. We'll give her some more time. Okay, so far on the board, I've got sales pitch for product or service, free space, marginalized or marginalization, and mind reading assumes motives. If you guys have arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them. I'll get to you by the end of the show.
It's you.
Oh, sorry, I cut her off. Let me back up a smidge or two there.
You today, but I'm going to go close enough to the edge for us to just have a conversation, if that's all right with you.
There's no conversation here. You're giving a presentation. There's no exchange. This is a lecture.
You know,
What's that?
in a world where there's data, predictions, economic crisis, scare tactics, right?
Where's this going?
Some of us don't even watch the news because we're afraid of inflation and recession and all of the scary things that could occur.
Okay, well, at least roundabouts economic disparity, so circling that one between inflation, recession, and so on. It's not quite the way it usually goes, but it's close enough.
But where do you go inwardly to survive?
Well, personally, I think of Cthulhu coming for the rest of us once he rises from his house at R'lyeh and eats the world on the last day of creation. That's what comforts me. It's all gonna go bye-bye, so who cares? Nihilism.
The grim reality of navigating this world without faith.
Who is preventing you from having faith? Who is stopping you? Who?
You know, every single one of us in this room is a three-part being.
Oh, three-part being. Id, ego, superego.
Whether you know that or not.
Oh, okay. Tell me. Is it everybody has three wolves in them? Or what was it? What was it? I heard that somewhere before.
Your mind.
Yeah.
Body.
Is it spirit?
And spirit.
Yay! Wow. Wow, you just described the high-level categories on any endless number of character sheets and role-playing games. Your
mind has all of the provisions and protections of emotional care and wellness.
Oh, and that's also a list, by the way. Sorry. I just realized you have 3. 1, 2, 3. That's a list. Circling a list. Let me back up a little bit here.
Has all of the provisions and protections of emotional care and wellness. There have been psychologists through the ages to study the practice of your mind, how your brain works, the nuances of how you think, how you come up with your reactions to things. We even study the human brain extensively throughout history.
What are you talking about? Where is this going?
Because the mind is where your thoughts come from.
You don't say. Okay, benevolent condescension. I don't know what else to say about that one. Come on. Is this going to be 16 minutes of fluff? I can see why. I can see why there was a notice and a disclaimer on this not being taken as mental health advice.
And then there's the body.
Is the body where our feelings come from, or our sensory input comes from?
I mean, come on, in the workplace, we have insurance provisions, we have wellness care. They even give us incentives to make sure we're healthy so they don't have to pay a premium.
Are you criticizing the insurance industry? Because that's a whole other talk.
But if we're 3 parts, and there's coverage for your mind.
There's coverage for your mind. Wait, where's the mental health? Okay, I don't know. Coverage for your mind.
There's provision for your physical health.
Yeah.
Where does that leave your spirit?
The First Amendment. As best as we can manage on the temporal plane, it all comes down to and is derived from the First Amendment. I'm glad to give you an answer that you seemingly lack. That is the best we can do as a society, is to enshrine one's ability to self-expression and personal belief. That's it. If you come up with a better idea of how to handle that, right, on the temporal plane, by all means, suggest it. Other than that, I'm not quite sure what to tell you. Everything else is then up to you as the individual, how you want to handle your own beliefs. And the government can't touch it, and businesses probably wouldn't unless you're doing something in the workplace to disrupt other people's ability to operate or believe as they wish to believe and operate as they wish to believe. So the First Amendment.
Your soul is made up of your mind, your will, and your intellect.
It is? Can you give me percentages on how much of my soul is my mind, my intellect, and my will?
The soul is the part of you that is creative.
It is?
It's the part of you that comes up with thoughts and ideas. It's the part of you that essentially is the essence of your being.
I thought my mind came up with thoughts and ideas. Didn't you just tell us that a minute ago?
Aside from your physical self. And the spirit is the caregiver for your.
Okay, sorry. My thumb twitched there. I didn't actually mean to pause there. Let me try that again. Come on.
And the spirit is the caregiver for your soul.
What?
How's your spirit today?
Wait. That means that I'm made up of 4 parts, right? That means mind, body, spirit, and soul. And if spirit and soul are separate from one another, if the soul is the caregiver of the spirit, and the soul is where my ideas and word salad. Circling that one. Okay.
Are you spiritually well when you walk through the world? When your heart is broken, when you're going through trauma, when you're encountering the divorce, when the child is sick, when your mother is dying, when you're in a crisis. What do you do when your spirit is not well and you have to show up every day at work?
Yeah, that's called work life and personal life. Right? It's not always fun. I have had to go to work before when things in my personal life were falling apart because I had a job to do, I had bills to pay, and work and those obligations will not stop for a momentary personal crisis. You know, if it's something egregious, I have time off for that. But, okay.
Can you be yourself then?
Be myself then? Yes. Yes, I can. And I have. Because I'm an adult. And again, save for the most extreme of circumstances, like a death in the family or a physical injury I've incurred or something like that, I come to work, I grit my teeth, I do my bit, and then I go home. And that's when my personal life starts up again. Because I'm an adult, I'm a professional, I can separate the two and get on with my day and neither burden my coworkers, my employer, or anybody else with things that they don't need to be involved in because it's none of their business nor their concern. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned.
When they say be your whole self at work,
do
we mean it?
Yeah, they do. Oh boy, howdy, do they? They really do. Trust me, I've been looking at this for a while now.
Because meaning that would mean I have to allow room and space for spiritual wellness.
No one is stopping you from doing that. No one. If you know of an employer, and I'm just saying this hypothetically or, rhetorically to our speaker. If you know of an employer who actively goes around running a witch trial at every cubicle, interrogating people over their beliefs and punishing them if they answer wrongly about what to believe correctly or otherwise, name them and there will be a massive class action lawsuit in the making. I just telling you. Now, is it possible that our speaker, now, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to let her say what she's going to say. I pontificate or speculate. too much. Thank you, Skid Caesar. You found a good one for tonight's stream. Keep it up, scribe. Your fans are many, and we love you. Oh, why, thank you, Skid. You're making me all blush and stuff. Gosh. Thank you, Skid. Yeah, I'm usually a little reticent to approach things about religion because, like I say, I'm not exactly one to talk. But I will say that I have noticed there's a few diversity consulting channels that I keep tabs on here and there. And I have noticed over the last, let's say year or so, more videos and subjects bringing up, why can't we bring religion into the workplace? And I'm like, you can. It's just that businesses can't discriminate in favor of one or the other or anything as a matter of law. But I guess it depends to what extreme are you talking about bringing it into the workplace? Again, are we talking about just wearing a crucifix around your neck or, having a picture or a symbol or something at your desk? Or are you talking about something more invasive into people's lives? That's where you start to edge over into other people's civil rights and comfort zones. But other than that, I'm not quite sure what the argument is.
Again,
what is going on in the
society is riddled with things that fight for our attention daily.
Okay, for those of you that aren't watching at home, listening and otherwise, she has this animation going on in the background that's like this 3D, I don't know, collage of things, but you have a 3D bar graph and you have a paper boat made out of $100 bill or a couple of them floating and moving around in the background. I'm so confused about what we're talking about.
Attention is currency. It's our greatest commodity. But how much attention do you pay to the health and care of your spirit?
Actually, I think that empathy is the best currency you have in business and in the workplace. And I don't mean to sound all Hallmark card about it, but really, in the function of one of the jobs I've had, I had to work with public servants quite a bit. Working in a private business, but having to operate and communicate on a regular basis with public servants. And one of the things is that you can't treat public servants like they are vendors, right? They're not getting anything out of it. They're not like, there's no big account on the line or something for trying to get information from public servants. They are there to serve the public. But if you get on their bad side, they'll remember it because the turnover in a lot of public service areas is pretty low a lot of the time. So if you make somebody mad, that person's going to be mad at you going forward. So empathy is the best currency, not just with, the situation of having to deal with public servants, but just in general, right? As much as you can and within reason. But maybe that's just my philosophy. Thank you, Buhweet. To add to Skids, and as a Sinatraite, smash the like button. The math ain't mathin'. Love you, Scribe. Thank you, Buhweet. You mind if I say Buhweet? I'm doing the whole Eddie Murphy SNL thing. If you prefer the hard K there, I'll make sure to add that. I just wanted to make sure. As we've learned from previous TEDx's, the pronunciation of names is very, very important. Also, hello, you ridiculous lunatic. Anybody else have a Folklord? Folklord. Hello.
Because if you are mind, which will pass away when you go, if you are a body, which will eventually leave this earth one day, where does that leave your spirit when you have a decision to make?
What?
As leaders in corporate spaces.
Whoa. Wait a second. Whoa. Okay, we are traveling through so many metaphysical layers there. Okay, eventually my mind will die, yes, as will my body. What will that leave your spirit? It depends on what decisions you make. In corporate America, wait. I'm not even sure what to say to this at this point. This is, okay. I think since this entire thing is non-denominational, and given what she just went through, I think I'm justified.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Right?
I Am I going to be given some moral advice about the corporate world now? Is that it? Is she about to lay down like, well, if you want your spirit to go to the right place, here's how you operate in the corporate world? And my answer might be, well, you might be better advised to stay away from the corporate world if you're looking for spiritual cleanliness, but okay, take me through it.
Where does that leave your spirit when you have a decision to make? As leaders in corporate spaces, we are charged with the care of multi-million-dollar assets.
Yes.
I'm talking about some pretty major decisions, budgets, cuts, furloughs. Do we hire? Do we close? What do we do about our employees?
I can't wait to find out how you tie this back into how corporate leaders are responsible for the spiritual well-being of their employees. Are corporate leaders supposed to be spiritual advisors as well?
What are the HR management processes to manage people when they're out of order or unruly or they're not following our rules?
Shape up or you're fired. I don't know. What would you say should HR do with unruly people?
But we forget that we manage processes.
I gotta say, this might be, and I know this might be a very, I might be going out on a limb here. This might be one of the most disconnected talks I've ever heard, because she just seems to be floating from one memorized talking point to another, and they're so disjointed from one another that they don't actually mean anything. Even taken individually, it isn't really saying anything, but just kind of stringing them along. I can circle word salad again, but it wouldn't do any difference for the card. Hey.
We lead people.
Yeah.
So my question is this.
Oh, finally. Okay, the question. All right, we're halfway through this talk, almost exactly halfway. We're getting to the question. The question. All right. But before we get there, because, hey, suspense is great, Alan Thyler. Thank you so much, Alan Thyler. I'm all about pronunciation. I'm really big into the pronouncing the names right now. He says, hello, Scribe. Hello, Alan. Hope you're having a good Thursday so far and enjoying the show. Also, Bridget, good evening. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, good evening.
Where are the spiritual leaders?
Where are they? Well, they're in the churches, they're in the temples, they're in the mosques, they're in the compounds off in the woods, saying that they're the reincarnation of an ancient Sumerian warrior kind of thing. That's where they are. Do you want corporate CEOs to become spiritual leaders? And which spirits shall they lead? And under what banner?
Who are the allies for your spiritual wellness?
Spiritual allyship? Oh man, this is a territory I never thought I'd come across. Okay, I don't know. Who are they? Who should they be? In our speaker's estimation, who should they be?
We talk about allyship and diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh, diversity, equity, inclusion. That's on the board. Oh my gosh. You said the whole thing. She said the thing. Circling diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's rare that the entire phrase is spoken, but hey, I'll take it.
There's allyship for race.
Yes.
For gender.
Yes.
Color.
I think race and color kind of are synonymous, but okay.
Ethnicity.
Sure.
There are allies for your mental health, to make sure that there are benefits accessible, to make sure that you have information, resources available to you.
Like in employee resource groups, right?
Seminars, practitioners who come and make themselves available, probably the therapist that's accessible in your office space.
What is she talking about? I mean, in the overall, like, where are we going with this? The question is, where are the spiritual leaders? Okay, And we're talking about the workplace, right? You mentioned corporate CEOs. Are you talking about CEOs?
We even in your workspace now have employee resource groups.
What? Am I psychic tonight? Have I broken through the mental barrier blocking all mundane thoughts from the rest of my senses? Am I just I might be having a spiritual moment now. I keep coming up with things and suddenly she says them, even though this was recorded in the past and I'm in the present. And yet somehow it's all right in front of me. Holy cats.
We have a day of commemoration for every ethnicity under our rainbow.
Do we? Okay. Where's Caucasian Day? Okay.
But what about your faith?
What about my faith? Okay, well, I don't know. You keep asking questions. Are you going to give us an answer? Is there a holiday for particular faiths? Are there any holidays? Are there any considerations over the course of the year for any particular faith-based events? Any?
Okay, that might not be your story if you don't come from corporate like me.
What? Wait, what? What are you talking about? Could you complete a thought if you're going to ask a question? Wait, what? Did the question on the board change? Why is it okay for strangers and not oh man, what are we doing here?
But I know what you can relate to.
Okay.
Some of you probably scrolled social media this morning.
Guilty as charged.
You would be doing it right now if we weren't sitting in this room.
You're probably right.
And the thing about scrolling on social media, the thing that stops you from scrolling, you see some news, something shocking from a friend, a loved one, a family member.
Or a cute cat meme. Or a picture of Count Dankula and his wee little baby. The cute little baby. Oh, such a cute baby. It's not all gloom and doom. It's a lot of gloom and doom, but it's not all gloom and doom.
And they announce something.
Uh-huh.
They're struggling with a diagnosis.
Maybe.
They're battling cancer.
Yeah.
A brain tumor. A sick child. A crisis.
Okay. And okay, are we going to go thoughts and prayers? Is that going to be I'm testing my psychic muscle, my newly formed psychic muscle. Thoughts and prayers. I see thoughts and prayers.
And instantly we're triggered to put up praying hands emojis and give our thoughts and prayers.
Oh no. Okay. I'm done. Oh no. What is going on? Oh my God. What? Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm not even making this up. What the? Okay, hold on. Oh, I had to get up. I just. This is insane. What? Okay, I've watched a lot of TEDx's, right? I can sometimes figure out what might or might not be said ahead of time. And those of you that have been watching for a while, you've watched me make a lot of guesses on what might be said next. And I maybe get it 25% of the time. There is no way. There's just no way. I bring up ERGs. She brings up ERGs. I say thoughts and prayers. She says thoughts and prayers. Like, come on. Come on. This is ridiculous. Okay.
We're thinking of you.
Uh-huh.
But why is it okay for us to do that without even a thought or notion for perfect strangers, but yet leaders who are charged with regulating our economy, with hiring people, with creating safe workspaces are not allowed?
Wait, stop. Okay. And for those of you listening in the future, I realize this kind of dates this broadcast as well, if the YouTube doesn't actually do it itself. Just about an hour ago now, I listened to a very brief speech from the White House, from our dear leader, President Joe Biden. And at the end of this speech, he said something to the effect, and I am paraphrasing, God bless the United States of America. And as far as leaders in control of our collective welfare goes, I think the President of the United States counts. The office counts. So an expression of faith of one kind or another is not disallowed from leaders. But you need to talk about what you are expecting to have happen in the workplace. What are you talking about?
With regulating our economy, with hiring people, with creating safe workspaces, are not allowed the same privilege or
Privilege? Privilege? Oh man, we got privilege on the board. And do you know what that means, guys? I can't believe it, right in the middle of a
Bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah!
Of course.
We got our first bingo right down the center on the N column. Wow. Okay. 2 or 3 psychic episodes and a bingo already. What more can happen?
courtesy or consideration.
Sorry, let me back up. Sorry for backing up every time, but man, this is woo.
With hiring people, with creating safe workspaces, are not allowed the same privilege or courtesy or consideration of thoughts and prayers.
Yes, they are. And when you say those things, they're not inherently necessarily for strangers. You can empathize with both someone you know and not know. And, you know, most people are helpless to do anything other than, right? If someone's diagnosed with cancer, well, what am I going to do? I can't operate from afar. I can, you know, promote a fundraiser or donate to it, right? And no one is disallowed from doing so. Expressing empathy, sympathy, best wishes. But the leaders don't have the privilege? What are you talking about? They don't have the capacity? What are you talking about?
You know, I'm reminded of a situation.
Oh my gosh. Are we going to finally get an example and or an anecdote? Be still my heart.
When I was formerly in corporate America,
When you were formerly in corporate America.
there's the duality of being a DE&I practitioner,
Practitioner. I love that phrase.
an executive, and a leader.
Uh-huh.
And the duality of being a faith practitioner and being responsible with the care of souls.
Responsible with the care of souls. It's interesting you use the word practitioner both for DEI and your faith. Just saying, practitioner is an interesting word to use to describe something like DEI. But anyway, you're in the care of, your responsibility is the care of souls. Do you also work at a church? Or are you seeing yourself as some sort of workplace shepherd to your coworkers and employees?
And praying for them.
Okay. Why do they need to be prayed for?
And I understand, you know, we don't want to offend.
Yeah, most people, well, social media these days. A large portion, no, social media these days. Some people don't mean to offend. It's a varying percentage. But when it comes to religion and things like that, especially in the workplace, yeah, it makes for some awkward exchanges if you attempt to do so.
But what happens? What happens when your employee can't get through the day?
Ooh, can't get through the day? Well, they can take a few minutes to collect themselves, and get back to work or take the day off, or I don't know. What do you say? What do you think should happen?
When they got that terrible bit of news,
I mean, I guess it depends on the workplace and the humanity of the boss or the corporation or the rules in charge. I'd love an example. Can you give me an example?
can't get through the day. When they got that terrible bit of news when sitting at their desk.
Uh-huh.
One day I walked into the break room at my job.
Uh-huh.
I had my cup of coffee. I'm all ready to go and get my caffeine fix that morning.
Uh-huh. And what if somebody feels that caffeine is a poison to the body and that you have to you treat your body as a temple and it's against their belief system and you're like flaunting your caffeine intake in front of them? What do you do then? What do you do?
The lights are off and it's dark and I hear a whimper, a weeping,
Okay.
a cry that stirred my spirit.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of my employees sitting in the corner,
Uh-huh.
sobbing.
Okay, we're going to have to estimate this for anecdote that did or did not happen. Here we go.
And in that moment, I didn't know if I should stay and comfort her
Uh-huh.
or should I leave. And as I got ready to turn, she said, wait. It's okay. You can come in. I need a minute.
Okay. So wait. You're at the office, you're a faith practitioner. You know what? Even if you weren't a faith practitioner, there is something just in common humanity that kind of transcends all types of belief systems and things. Enough to say, are you all right? Just that simple phrase. Got nothing to do with a faith, got nothing to do with anything necessarily spiritual, except perhaps on the level of, like I say, compassion and humanity. Nothing was stopping you from saying, are you all right? Are you okay? Do you need some help? It doesn't have to have any kind of religious connotation to it whatsoever, but okay.
I can't reach my therapist and I don't know what to do. You can stay. I said, okay.
I can't reach my therapist. Okay. Well, if it's early in the morning at the office, I'm not surprised, but okay.
And so in this moment,
Uh-huh.
I had to ask myself,
Did you have to?
because of the conditioning that I can't bring my faith to work,
What does your faith have to do with basic human compassion? What are you talking about?
I don't want to offend and I dare not, I would not enforce, but yet invite someone to an opportunity
What?
to be healed.
What? 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 It's got nothing. So what, now you're a faith healer? What is, where? Gee. Oh my gosh. Whew, this has been a trip. This has been a trip between my psychic moments and just wherever this lady is going. Are you going to ask the audience to put their hands on the screen now? Are you going to blow on people to make the spirit flow through them or whatever? What, to be healed. Why not just ask her if she's okay, if she needs some help? Which is, I know this might be shocking to you, a non-denominational inquiry, but purely basic human compassion.
She began to pray herself in that moment.
Okay, then that's her business. What has this got to do with you?
And I sat on the floor in a
Why?
dark break room.
Uh-huh.
I held her hand and we prayed.
Okay. And was she healed?
And what happened is I had to cross the line of leadership incorporate nuances into humanity and partner my belief with hers. And I had to have hope with her because I understood that in this life, when work is over and everything is said and done, we're three-part beings.
Okay. Basic compassion is not something that is relegated only to those with quote unquote faith. And even opposing faiths or different faiths can still have basic human compassion because it comes down to basic human compassion. No one was stopping you from comforting this lady. She didn't ask for your help, but then it didn't sound like you were offering it either. But you just sat down and took care of somebody who was in a moment of crisis. Good for you. And so, people in the chat saying it's an anecdote that never happened. I don't see. Here's the difference. I have a hard, in this instance at least, unless she says something else, I have a hard time necessarily saying it never happened. I'm just kind of flummoxed at her personal aggrandizing interpretation of her importance in the moment and whatever faith had to do with it. I mean, here's the thing. If faith drove her to see to this lady's well-being while she was in a moment of crisis, is the implication there that in the absence of faith, someone wouldn't do that? Or like the corporate entity that she is can't be a human being at the same time or something? I don't know. As far as anecdote, I might have to get arguments at the end of the show or end of the presentation because I'm iffy on whether it didn't happen the way that she's saying it. I'm just wondering about her interpretation of it.
And the one that remains is her spirit.
Sorry, I gotta back up again.
Her. And everything is said and done. We're three-part beings. And the one that remains is her spirit.
What about her soul, which is the caretaker of the spirit?
And so I remembered in that moment that it is necessary to nurture the thing that will carry us through this life that's so much bigger than a day at work.
Wow. Golly, that's really profound. Yeah. Human empathy and compassion. Golly, if you were promoting that, which is universal, I don't know that I'd have a whole lot to say. What does this have to do with faith? If you had been completely secular, all right, no religion whatsoever, agnostic, whatever, could you have not sat there and held her hand? Would your lack of practice or lack of belief in prayer have been a bad thing if you were just there as a human being showing her some basic support? What are you trying to say here? What is the message?
So again, I ask you this.
Could you answer some of these questions that you're asking? Why are you asking me? You're supposed to be informing me. This is your presentation. Again, you ask this. Hey, have you asked it before? Is this a question you've asked previously?
Yes. Can our faith and our spiritual wellness have a seat at the table?
To do what? What?
After all, we want diversity, right?
Not the way that it's interpreted by most of corporate America, no. I'll ask again. Who is stopping you at work from possessing or expressing your faith? Who? I'll take the owl's position, and I don't even need a Tootsie Pop. Who?
This room is diverse.
Yes.
We advocate for it. We fight for it. We've marched for it. We've rallied for it. We vote for it. We talk about equity, women's rights, equal pay. We talk about equitable opportunities. We talk about women having a seat at the table and increasing the numbers of women board members across corporations in the country.
Yeah, preach on, sister. Circling feminism. Boy, we suddenly took a turn from diversity to women, women, women. And do we? I don't know what you mean by we, but how about collectivize his own demographic? I'll circle that one too. Holy cow. All right.
We talk about inclusion.
Yeah, we do talk. There's a lot of talk about these things. It's true.
Everybody has a voice. We want to say and how things are run.
Are you proposing that things be run in corporations under a theocracy?
In a country where it is absolutely okay to finally, after 400 years of oppression, address color.
What the fuck? What? Address? Okay, all right. Oh my gosh, where am I? What is going on? She must have transported my mind to the psychic plane. That's the only explanation for my experience tonight.
In a country where people still get offended when they say diversity, they think we're always going to talk about race.
Almost always you're talking about race. Almost always. The other side of the coin usually is gender. You know, with smaller percentages of sexual orientation, right? And an even smaller, almost never mentioned percentage of religion. Religion, I mean, yeah, race, gender, orientation. You'll hear about those three all the time with DEI speeches and presentations and things. I could probably count on my two hands, and I probably only need one of them, the number of times I've listened to DEI practitioners, advocates, consultants, and so on, and they brought up religion. It's so rare, in fact. That's kind of why I picked this talk, because I don't usually see workplace and religion questions coming up that often in the let's say in the more public sphere of things. Maybe that's an example of the oppression she's talking about. I don't know.
When it's only one part of the equation.
Oh yeah.
It's okay for us to have a conversation about all the other protected classes in the Civil Rights Act.
You're right. It is okay to have a conversation. You want to talk about the First Amendment?
It's okay for us to have a conversation about your sexual orientation, your preferences. We create space for that.
You create space for my sexual preferences? What, at the workplace? Okay. If you say so. If you say so.
We've lobbied, we voted, rights have been given. It's okay for us to have a conversation about ethnicity.
Then why are you bringing it up? If it is not an issue, then what? You're just filling time. You are just filling time at this point. You're not saying anything. You want to talk about religion? Go ahead. You're standing, you've been talking about it the whole time in a relatively abstract way. Nobody's stopping you. Right? The speech police have not kicked down the door and stopped this talk. Go ahead.
My goodness, we even have a cultural day where we get to wear your traditional garments and celebrate who we are and the families and cultures we're born into.
Yes. Yes, we do. There are plenty of public examples showing that in America, your ability to express yourself and practice your religion is allowed. What are you talking about?
We can celebrate all of these things.
But
wait a minute.
Now wait a minute.
Oh, that's right. I'm at work.
Oh, for Yeah, you're in a professional environment. What do you what do you want to do? What do you want to do in the workplace that you feel like you can't? Right? Nobody stopped you from sitting down with that lady who was crying. Nobody's stopping you from expressing whatever compassion or feeling or care or whatever for other people you have based on your faith or otherwise. What do you want to be able to do at work? What do you think you can't do at work?
But I can't bring my faith.
Both you and your coworker were praying in the break room. Nobody stopped you. What? Okay. I held off as long as I could. I was trying to be polite, trying not to double up any more than I absolutely have to, but holy cats.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
I probably should have circled. I probably should have hit one of those 2 or 3 times now, because the hell, come on.
Religion is the last of these protected classes that people still won't touch in the place where we spend most of our time every day.
Because it's nobody else's business, and most people let people live the way they want to live without bugging them about it because it's not their business. Just like someone's orientation. Your love life, not my business. I'm here to do my job, not interrogate you about your belief system, not interrogate you about your private life. None of my business. None of my business. Professional courtesy, professional distance. Do you know these concepts?
It's like that. That when I need a day for mental health,
then take a personal day. No one is stopping you. It's nobody's business. Your mental health is not my problem until you make it my problem. And if you can't handle your issues to the point where you can do your job, well, there'll probably be consequences for that. And I have sympathy for people who have mental health issues they cannot control. I had one throughout my entire 20s and into my 30s. I still have it. Thankfully, it's been treated to the point where it's effectively not an issue. It could come roaring back at any time. But you know what I did when I had my uncontrollable mental health issue? I grit my teeth and I got done what I needed to get done because I needed to get it done. And I didn't burden other people with it any more than I absolutely had to. You know, maybe to my own detriment. I can't say. It's hard to say. But I still got up every morning and did my job. I know some people can't. You know. But what are you asking for? What are you hoping to have happen? What change do you want to see? You've brought up all these complaints and questions and so on, so suggest a solution. Hit the play button.
or mental health, and I have to call it that because I can't give it another name that's not acceptable to say, maybe I don't need a mental health day. I need a day to simply pray. And
No, oh my gosh, no one is stopping you from calling it that. And who cares? I need a day to pray. Well, okay, then do that. Wait, who? I'm a freaking owl here. Who is stopping you?
day to simply pray and recharge my spirit.
Then go to church on Sunday.
So I want to know.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide.
Can you accept that my faith is professional?
I don't know. Are you going to act like this in the workplace all the time?
My faith is so professional that when I walk through conference hallways and leaders who are hurting, contemplating suicide,
Whoa, now you just demonetized this whole stream. Thanks a lot, lady.
who are battling workplace harassment, have to ask for prayer in quiet corners and in dark rooms and on Zoom calls because we can't discuss it openly out of fear of offense.
Who do you want to discuss it with? Who do you want to discuss your faith with in the workplace? Who are you just chomping at the bit to talk to about your faith? Just some random person at the office? Give it a shot. It'll be a very potentially awkward conversation. Maybe they won't know what you're talking about. Maybe they'll think that you're evangelizing to them. Maybe it's none of their business.
And if I've triggered anyone today by this conversation,
No. I'll tell you what. The thing that's triggered me the most is you thinking this is a conversation. This is not a conversation. This is a diatribe. This is a screed. This is a loosely connected series of thoughts, ideas, and buzzwords that have said and mean nothing. But then, hey, I put myself in these situations because my biggest trigger word is TEDx.
good.
Good. Oh, I see. Good. Because being uncomfortable is good. The uncomfortable is the beginning of learning something. Come on. Why isn't this thing not playing?
Out of fear of offense.
Yeah.
And if I've triggered anyone today by this conversation, good.
Good.
I ask you why. Is it we can talk about all of those things, but my faith can't have a seat at the table? If you're offended, offense is a choice.
You're right. Offense is taken, never given. You're right. So what?
It's a choice where I choose to fully immerse myself at work and in the world by being spiritually well and bringing my faith to work. Thank you.
That was like the Seinfeld of TEDx talks. It was nothing. Said nothing, went nowhere, did nothing, except bring out my psychic abilities. That's the one thing I'll say. This TEDx talk was the radioactive spider so far in my life. Never before have I had so many correct predictions of future events than with this talk. Anyway, I'm going to go over the bingo card one more time by myself. If you've got arguments for squares to be circled, please hold on to them. Let me update the bingo card. That's what it looks like right now. Hoi. Let's keep going. Systemic, institutional. I think in the abstract, the workplace, society, on and on and on. I think that's a safe bet, so I'm going to circle that one. Childhood or family, and surprisingly enough, she never talked about her personal life. She never talked about her family, never talked about her childhood, and the only anecdote that we got was the workplace one. We'll come to that one shortly. Plays victim. Yes, that somehow she is being victimized, even though she never described how, but somehow she is, and she's a brave crusader pushing forward. Microaggressions, unconscious bias. Triggered, offense. These things, I might be stretching slightly, but I don't think too far. So I'm going to circle that one. Contradicts own point or argument. Yeah, you're made up of three parts: mind, body, and spirit. But the soul is the caretaker of the spirit. Well, then isn't the soul the fourth part, amongst other things and stuff? And just, if she had a point, it was contradicted. Patriarchy. I could maybe see. That's tough because she did bring up diversity, equity, inclusion, talked about, advocating for women and this, that, and the other. And I put up feminism for that one, but does that then inherently also mean patriarchy? Because she never brought up, men in particular or anything. So I need a good argument for that one. Weightless example. What examples did she get? Yeah, the entire talk. No one is stopping you from expressing or quote unquote bringing your faith to work. Nothing that she described is prohibited either under law or common practice. again, if she was advocating for evangelizing or proselytizing or something, but otherwise nothing she was talking about, like, nothing made any sense. Nothing had anything to do with anything. It was all disconnected. It was all exactly that.
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
Our second bingo. Moving on. White supremacy. Not directly. Now, self-vilification or wretchedness. I mean, there was a little bit there when she talked about the duality between the corporate self and the spiritual self, and I don't know if it qualifies though. I might need an argument on that one. Argumentative non sequitur. Everything. Like from point to point. Yeah. Who are the spiritual leaders? I don't know. Who are they? Who should they be? Are you going to tell us? Are you going to give us a hint? Asking a bunch of questions, giving us no answers. On and on and on. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. I didn't hear anything new in that. Okay. Anecdote that probably never happened. See, like I say, her interpretation of her role and her hesitation and everything in the situation. I mean, that's all self. Does the anecdote itself sound like something that didn't happen? It's too perfect. I don't know. The only thing that's questionable to me is the sudden, unspoken, or at least as far as she told it, impulse to start praying together. I couldn't reach my therapist. Is that enough? I don't know. I need some more input on that one. And last one, leaves out vital context. Yes, what are you talking about? What do you want to see happen? What examples of either vilification or prohibition on faith in the workplace are you seeing that need to be addressed? Like what? And she never gave one. Just a sort of self-barrier of, well, I'm in the workplace, so maybe I shouldn't bring it up. Yeah, and that's a you thing. What are you hoping for? How many times did I ask who and what and where and why, how? Anyway. Hey, okay, so there is the bingo card as I have it. 2 bingos so far. We're close to a couple more. I'm going to need some good arguments for those bingo squares. Moving on to the chat. Let me scroll up a little bit. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, put them in the chat now. Please be sure to tag me in them so I can see them against everything else. Mason Cornish, what is going on here, Scribbles? I had a psychic breakthrough. That's what happened. And I have plenty of witnesses. I had a psychic breakthrough. At least 2 or 3 occasions in this talk, I knew what she was going to say before she said it. It was amazing. Blew my mind. That's what's going on here. Or you can take one of my favorite lines from the movie Near Dark, where someone says, "What's going on here?" And I think it was Severin. He says, "It ain't what's going on here, son. It's what's coming off your face." One of the best vampire movies ever. Okay, moving on. Scrolling. Keep them comments scrolling. Lexi Mads is here. I can officially begin. I decided to 2x playback this speech. Excuse me for being super white, but I literally cannot even. I have been shook out of my Uggs. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Faithless says, Scribelight, more jobs on boards for women equals patriarchy. Oh, in the reversal. All right. I will consider that. See if anybody else has an alternate or backs that up in some way. Let's see. Folklord. I would argue that when she was listing all these examples of groups that DEI helps, those were weightless examples because she didn't explain how the religious are oppressed in the world. Yeah, well, that's true. Like I say, that also works. She never followed up with anything. There was never any payoff to all of her complaints or assertions. There just wasn't. So, yeah. Let's see. Pardon me. I got a little frog in my throat. Let's see. Advocates Diabli, Scarlett, that anecdote totally happened. I would be more surprised if it didn't. Can you honestly say after listening to her that you do not believe she prays at the drop of a hat? Well, that's true. Like I said, there's nothing inherently about that anecdote that made me think, but it wasn't her that was praying. She prayed with her. She said that the lady that was sitting there just, spontaneously decided to start praying and she joined in. That's the only element that I'm a little but I don't know if it's enough for me to say the whole thing was just didn't happen. I don't know. Let's see. Anybody else for the patriarchy thing? Let's see. Bridget. I think this is pretty solid. I would try to argue for patriarchy with the we finally got women's rights and seats at the table dribble. I mean, I circled feminism. On that one. So that's, but yeah, Faithless is arguing that the women on boards thing is, sort of in the reversal of it, an argument against patriarchy in corporate America, which I can buy, but I just wanted to see if anybody else wanted to pitch in on that real quick. Megan Ring, as best as I can tell, I think she wants groups for religious people, faith counseling, pay time off for, and be able to talk about endlessly about her faith. I mean, I forget what it was. We did look at a company not too long ago that did have established faith-based ERGs. So some companies do accommodate that. And a lot of companies, accommodate people to take time off either during the course of the workday or otherwise to, deal with their religious needs or otherwise. So again, I'm not quite sure what she was arguing for. Let's see. Come on, StreamYard. There you go. Advocates Diabli. The mention of 400 years of oppression seemed like a nod to white supremacy. Oh, that's not bad. And the more I think about, okay, so I'm going to do a twofer here. First off, Faithless. I think your patriarchy argument has some merit there. It was brief, but it was there. So as soon as my program here decides to act appropriately, and would you believe it, with that one, we get 2 bingo.
I had a dog, and his name was...
What?
I had a dog, and his name was...
Bingo!
Of course!
Bingo. What?
Of course!
We've got 2 bingos. All right. And then the argument for white supremacy. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. So just a one-off, but I think it was probably enough. And with that, if you can believe,
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
we have another bingo. Oh my gosh. Quite a full plate so far. All right. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? Let's see. Bingo. Roan Hirushin. I'm convinced these things are just excuses for random people to come on stage and complain about something and do nothing about it. It all depends on the talk. It really does all depend on the talk. Some are better than others. Some, offer ideas or solutions, whether they're good or not, or believable, hard to say. Some people just spill out their own brain essentially on a stage and play act their own thinking process. And that seemed to be this year. But in this case, it just felt like, okay, and this is just me. She talked at the top about how she does the conference circuit. She gives speeches here, there, and otherwise, and all the time. This just felt like a phoned in, filling time speech of stuff, right? It was a presentation of stuff. There was no substance to it. There was no answers given, no real evidence provided, no details offered, just words and stuff that sounds like it's sophistry. It's sophistry. It's pablum. It's nothing, right? But it fills up space and it might feel justified or righteous or something. I don't know. That's all it felt like to me. It just felt like a freebie, a freebie conference, a freebie presentation. And obviously a little bit of an advertisement. Let's see. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? Mike R. Grand Inquisitor Taylor. I'm pretty sure self-vilification is going to be the hurdle to a blackout. Well, no, childhood or family anecdote is the hurdle because she never brought up her childhood. She never brought up her family. Buzzword, buzz phrase, nothing she said was new or something I like to call or anything like that. Even if I allowed for the anecdote that never happened, or that probably never happened, still self-vilification and childhood or family anecdotes, certainly. The closest you could come to self-vilification, and I can see an argument for this, in fact, I'm making it now, is where she struggled between her corporate self and her faith self. The problem was that was such a momentary concession that it really pales in comparison to playing victim the entire time and affirming her rooted faith, let's say. So I don't, there wasn't enough there for me to put self-vilification on there. And she certainly did not make it part of her argument. She was arguing about some invisible force preventing her from expressing herself, which she never got into. So, okay, Advocatus. She did sort of self-vilify when talking about her time in the corporate world, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's as close as she came, but still, even in the example that she gave, the anecdote about the crying lady, her faith overcame her professional barriers. So it really didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. It really didn't. Megan Ring, my point was that I think she wants to be able to have all those things and bring her religion into everything she says or does, no matter how uncomfortable that makes anyone else. I could see that because, she feels the invisible wall of propriety, right, in the workplace. Like, is it appropriate to bring this up? Should I, start, again, proselytizing, evangelizing to someone, risk making them uncomfortable in the workplace? Because, depending on the circumstances and depending on the laws of the state and so on, you could risk an accusation of creating a hostile work environment, right? Or showing preference to a religion in the workplace. That just causes all kinds of headaches. So, yeah, she wants to be able to just, I guess, not have to concern herself with other people's comfort zones. My best guess, I guess. But Grand Inquisitor Tyr Alexander, am I invisible? Well, here's the thing, Tyr. If you were, I wouldn't know. But, as you say, the anecdote is far too exaggerated to be true. On the floor, crying because she could not reach her therapist. In the dark. Those details make me believe it isn't true. It was in the break room, she said, I think, maybe, I don't know, or at her desk in the dark. You know what? Just because I don't want anybody here to feel uncomfortable, just because I don't want to trigger anybody, and because it's effectively not a bingo square. Tell you what, I will be a benevolent leader. and circle it just to appease, just because it sits right on the edge, but I'll err on the side of non-believability for the sake of things. But I think that's where I'm going to call it, guys, because between self-vilification, childhood family anecdote, and attempt to coin new buzzword buzz phrase, certainly none of those happened. But man, oh man, did she cover a lot of space in this one. And I think my psychic break is probably my favorite part of this entire thing. That was great. I wonder if it'll continue. Should I start like picking out lottery numbers or something? Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. If it'll come up here. Come on, StreamYard. You can do it. Come on, StreamYard. StreamYard. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the happy, smiley, dancy Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowee, wow, wow.
Well, that's an irate Alex, Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good Thursday. But with that, everybody, I'm going to call it here. A couple of things before I go. First and foremost, I have a Discord. If you didn't know, if you'd like to join the Discord, well, direct your eyes to the chat right now. There's a link there to the Discord server. All you have to do is click on that. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just need to give the secret word. The secret word tells me and my moderators that you actually watch the show and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the honor of joining the Discord server. And today's secret word is psychic. Because I was. All right, didn't see that one coming. You thought it was going to be faith or something, right? No, it's psychic. So just say, hello, psychic, on the Discord server, and you too can become a member of the Discord server. In addition to that, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, programming notes. Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern will be the Sunday stream, where I talk about a thing. I haven't chosen what it'll be yet, but we'll see. Also, we may be done with the vampire books, but I have an idea for a little reading assignment discussion for Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I still have to discuss it with Leonora. And the reading assignment that I've chosen to discuss is only about a page and a half long. And I will post that in the Discord. If this is approved, I have to talk to Leonora about it, but as long as she's game, I'm going to post that in the Discord so everybody can have a chance to read it ahead of that stream so we can all talk about it in an informed manner. And beyond that, I'm supposed to be on the Midnight's Edge After Dark show on Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to discuss our top 5 monster movies of our personal all times. So looking forward to that one. I also have a video I've pulled out of the ether, let's say the spirit realm, that I may do a stream on, an ambush stream tomorrow or Saturday, maybe. I don't know. Keep your eyes open on my Twitter, scribe_light, for that, and or on the Discord, because when I decide to do those things, I usually give about 15 minutes, 30 minutes warning in advance, just because I like to keep you guys on your toes. But with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. And if you weren't, I'd see it coming. You have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the fundraisers pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike. I appreciate the engagement either way. Or leave a comment below if there's an argument for a square that wasn't circled that you have, or anything else you'd like to say about the subject. Perfectly fine. I'm open to all of your ideas and thoughts that come from your brain. Don't forget, your thoughts come from your brain. Everyone, hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Hope you have a good Friday ahead of you. Weekend as well. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.